So we're going to be talking about digital transformation again. How can that possibly be? This term's been used, abused, tortured, killed. And I thought if we have to talk about it, if we have to bring it, some disadvantages of not being as tall. So the only way I could have possibly bring a term like digital transformation back to life is by taking help of artificial intelligence. So in this presentation, we are not going to be talking about what is artificial intelligence. There have been speakers who've actually described it much better than I can. I would not talk about what's coming. What I'm going to be talking about is how you can take some ideas and implement it in your work life. So we'll take up some use cases, a bit along the lines of what Chris at Optus is doing. So that was quite amazing. Thank you. But to begin with, let me talk to you about a friend I have. He's a childhood friend. He's a doctor. He was heading the emergency room in a hospital when round about midnight, they had a patient come in who was a very bad case of dengue fever. And as the medical team gathered trying to save him, they realized he doesn't just have dengue fever, he also has a heart condition. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I understand that certain medication for dengue fever interferes with the heart. So they had to balance the medication. Around about 3 o'clock, the patient's condition stabilized, and my friend went home. 7 o'clock in the morning, he gets a frantic call. The patient is dead. And he was like, what's happened? The patient was okay when I came home. It seems the next set of doctors and nurses who came in did not have access to that part of the system that had information about his heart condition. So when his dengue fever started rising, they increased the dosage for medicine of the fever, and the patient had a heart attack. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when systems don't talk to each other. When we went and found out why the hospital could not have a single system that would have all the patient records, we were told that project would have costed $60 million and 9 months of effort, and the hospital couldn't afford it. So this patient died. Now, this is a problem not just with hospitals. It's a problem in any organization that has more than one computer. So a show of hands, if you faced a similar problem in your organization where you have systems that have disconnected system of records that don't talk to each other. Pretty much everyone. What if there was some magic bullet? What if there was some magic wand that could actually integrate systems, that could actually fetch data from all these disparate systems within your organization and outside? And what if it didn't cost $60 million? What if it just costed a few $100,000? What if it didn't take 9 months? What if we could do it in just a few weeks? That is the promise of the new technology that's accompanying today as artificial intelligence. So this is what we do for a living at Robonomics AI. And when I was explaining to my kids what my new venture is about and what we do, I showed them this graph and I said, look, this is what we do. And the 10-year-old immediately went to the school and enrolled himself in the coding and programming club, so he could play Lego blocks and puzzles at work when he grows up. So these puzzle pieces are essentially the kind of innovative companies like Tea Leaf that Chris spoke about. And we've partnered with around 20 of them. There are quite a few from Israel, Romania, Germany, Poland, Silicon Valley, and Bangalore. Now, each one of these guys, they do something very amazing with data, with technology and stuff. But they wear lab coats, and they sit in Tel Aviv. They sit wherever they sit. And the kind of solutions they develop are required by customers here. So we essentially get those solutions, stitch it together, and offer it as a service to our clients in Australia and Netherlands and in Bangalore. So we're present in 3 continents. And each one of these actually speak a different language. So we've built our proprietary solution that actually gets all these languages to talk to each other so that one application understands the other. But eventually, everything is about, can I create the kind of a customer experience that is just not possible today? And that's the challenge. And what we've realized is we've actually taken around 90-odd use cases, and we've tried our solution architecture with all 90 of them. And there's not one that we've not been able to assist with artificial intelligence. It's kind of given us the confidence to evolve a philosophy of AI first. And what that means is, whether you're having lunch, or you're hearing me talk, or you're designing new experiences for your customer, there is no activity in this world today, or set of activities, that cannot benefit from the kind of technologies that are available today. I'm not talking about tomorrow. It's just a question of reimagining new customer experiences. Now, that looks like a very tall claim. It looks like a lot of philosophy with a lot of theory. But what does it mean in real life? So let's go back to the patient situation that I described. And this is a proof of concept that we actually built for a healthcare organization that employs 25,000 people. So there's a doctor that comes in the morning, and he opens his phone, and there's a chatbot talking to him. The chatbot has robotic process automation working in the back end that actually talks to multiple disparate systems. So look at the way magic can be created by these 2 technology components. So the chatbot that we have, we call it RAI, Robonomics AI. So the doctor comes in, gets greeted, and he wants to know what his appointments for the day are. And the chatbot initiates calls to basically pick up information about all the patients that are there in the hospital, what are the kind of skills they need, finds out what the doctors are available today and what their skills are, matches, and builds up kind of a plan for each doctor. After that, the doctor's about to go see a patient, and the patient could have come through multiple systems. His data could be all over the place. But the moment the doctor requests the chatbot for inputs about a particular patient, the robotic bots in the back end, they go into each of the 4 systems where the records are spread, fetches it out, and displays it on the doctor's screen. And if there are records that the doctor requires from systems that are outside of the hospital, we again use a similar technology which can actually screen scrape. You don't need to build APIs anymore to extract data from multiple systems. So the technology is actually advanced to that level where we do not need to build APIs for extracting data from multiple systems. And that we are using in re-engineering a customer experience here. And the doctor does whatever he has to do, has a look at the patient, then he dictates into his phone, like a dictaphone, his findings. Because one of the things the doctors hate is documentation. They're very good at seeing patients, prescribing medicines, saving lives. They're very bad at documentation. So we solved that problem with an enablement of voice to text that goes in and updates, creates the text form, and then goes in and updates all 4 records at the same time. So this is just an example of how you can use components of technology available today to create magic. And none of this technology is, all of it is currently being used, and there are people who are using components of this. And this is not just medicine. We could go to pretty much any vertical, any use case, any function. So let's take the other extreme end. Let's say inspection of industrial assets. Now, that's very non-medically, it's very non-IT. So how would you bring about automation in a scenario like this? Imagine you aren't sitting in front of me listening to a boring lecture on AI for digital transformation. What if you were changing poles, wires for an electricity company? Or you had to be, fixing an insulator, and you realize that after you've climbed up, you've forgotten to order a part. What if you're doing inspections using a helicopter, but there are parts of this pipe that you cannot see from above? How would the new technologies help you with stuff like these? Drones. So the solution, the way, and we actually talking to clients about these solutions. This is not made up. So you fly out drones that actually go very close to the physical assets, and they take very high resolution image and video. And because the quality of the image and the quality of video is so high, it's much easier now to convert it into text that the AI algorithms can then work on. So you take images from the drones, you put it into a software that converts it into text or machine-readable text, and then you pump it into an AI algorithm that is able to then predict which part of your industrial asset is going to fail at what time. And all of this, you are controlling, you are engaging with the multiple stakeholders using chatbots. So the kind of customer journey, the kind of business models that it can give rise to is pretty much limitless. So let's see how it would work. The Weather Bureau has predicted storms in your area. So there is a chatbot that reaches out to every customer of a utility organization and alerts them of potential storms or whatever. And if you've still had an accident, an outage, there is reassurance provided. Don't worry, we'll fix it. Now, before we go about fixing it, we need your authorization to access your Facebook data. Now, I already have details of smart meters in that region available to me through my systems. I overlay that with additional data that's coming to me from the mobile devices of the people out there. And now I have big data analytics that can actually help me figure out where the problem is in my network. And once I've zeroed in, I can actually request one of my customers to go take a photo of wherever the problem has occurred and upload it to me. So within a few minutes, I have a very good visual of what's gone wrong where. So what we're doing is we're actually having social work along with the backend systems, with the GIS systems, with the network operation systems, and we are creating, again, a very new customer experience. Once the video or the image that the user has taken for the fire or the event is uploaded, then you can actually initiate measures of people who can fly in there who can fly the drones in there, or send in SES to actually start with inspection of what's wrong. And the people we work with in the drones area, for example, they've been used extensively during the floods in Queensland. Not in an integrated fashion, but essentially to find out what's going wrong where. And depending on the input we get, overlaid with a very interesting set of customer journeys created, we can then move on to a very different business model for your organization. So here, once the reports have been found out, there is integration built into the back-end systems, again using robotic process automation, which can actually trigger service orders, purchase orders, depending on the rules that you set for the solution. So these are only two examples. Like I said, there are around about 88 others that I could share in different industries, in retail, in banking. So if you're talking about onboarding of customers and anti-money laundering, these solutions could work together to create a completely different experience. In fact, we are now able to create a whole AI-first bank because we've mapped multiple processes into the AI philosophy. So the key summary is, with these technologies available now, you have an ace up your sleeve. And what you can do is actually limited only by your imagination. Everything will not be delivered on day one. The approach to these kind of solutions is you start with a small proof of concept, validate it with your users, and then keep building on it. But at the end of the day, what you get is significantly enhanced customer experience. So keeping in trend with what books to read, I've noticed a few speakers have shared that. That's the book that I would recommend, What to Do When Machines Do Everything. Very good book. Now, we are actually launching our company in CeBIT, and we might be giving out a few of those books for free at our booth. But that's it. Wish you all the best with your journey. I'll pause for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you. We can take a few questions before we go for lunch.
Yes. Yeah, I have 3 drones at home. One costed $20, and all 3 are operated by my kids. They are no good for any of these. No, the answer is no. Our business model is to work with partners, and we have partners who own and operate drones.
Great, thank you. One more question? Yes.
So a bit of a devil's advocate question. So there's a lot of talk around chatbots, and there's also a lot of noise about using chatbots to add value, and there's also use cases where it's just because it's fun and it's cool that it doesn't really deliver anything. So you could probably make an argument for some of those examples that you talked through that maybe is a chatbot the right UX, or you know, could it be done in a simpler way so you don't have to think about NLP and all that kind of stuff. How do you guys justify the chatbot being the right front end for customers and for partners? Why is the chatbot the right front end?
I'll answer it in two ways. One is we don't necessarily say chatbot is the only way of interacting with your consumers. It was, or customers, it was just convenient to show it up here. Our solution is basically system integration of all these solutions, and we take every case on its merit and determine what's right for every use case. But having said that, the richness of data that a chatbot can generate is significantly higher than what you would get out of, let's say, a person interacting with the organization. So the more we can move the conversation towards a chatbot kind of a solution, or it could even be a web or a mobile app that you're using to interact with your consumers. But the more we go digital, the richer is the data that comes in. And the richer is the data that comes in, the better we can focus our interactions with the clients. But having said that, this noise about chatbots, I think it's just a hype curve, and there will be an equilibrium point where chatbots will have their place. The initial announcements by Facebook and Microsoft and pretty much everyone else had pushed up the expectation levels, and people who did not understand the limitations of chatbot just jumped at it and were disappointed with what they got in return. And I think there's a space there for more experienced people to share their experiences, so that we position each technology for what it's worth and not try one size fits all.